Welcome back to the Mix28 YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys watching and listening once again. If you have not already liked the video, I know you haven't technically watched it, you should still like the video just for engagement, you know?
Please, I'm begging you, please. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. Please subscribe.
Is that where we can get this YouTube channel just skyrocketing so I can quit my job? Please? Please? Like, seriously, please, like the video so I can quit my job. I'm tired of working for people. Anyways, we're actually here in my room, which is dark as fuck because it's a dark, gloomy day outside and the window's closed. I don't know why I'm explaining these things to you. Yeah, van life really makes sense to me. Like, what was the benefit? It's not an RV. It's not like a converted bus, which I can kind of accept. It's not a mobile home trailer, so like a possible actual established foundational home. It's not a small house. It's stupid. And I get it. Oh, it's so they could travel the world or whatever and have all they need with them. Yeah, it's called an RV. Just buy a freaking RV. I mean, and I guess, yeah, it costs more, but I feel like just the expenses to renovate a van to turn it into a mini RV, at that point, you're better off just buying a used RV. There's like countless used RVs on shady fucking marketplaces. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe the van life is better because you don't get murdered by the hillbillies who are trying to sell the RV that they've already murdered 15 people in.
Are you 100% sure about that?
But anyways, I never understood van life because it's a small cramped space where you're going to smell everyone that shits and everyone's pissed. You're like, most of them don't really have a real shower, like, that's enclosed in the van. So you need like a gym membership or something and need to be near a place that has one of those locations so you can go and visit and take a shower. It's off to me. It seems weird to want to live inside a van where every meal you cook is going to fill up your entire space with the smell. And you might think, oh, that's good, I can cook. Let's be real. Most millennials and Gen Z are horrible cooks. So you're going to have this disgusting smell inside your van that seeps into your like clothes, it seeps into your hair. It just, none of the van life makes sense. So I kind of want to try and understand it from people who've done videos on van life. So let's get into it.
Van life used to be unavoidable. No matter where you went on the internet, you were guaranteed to run into a photo of some brim hat hippies holding up interstate traffic in a Westphalia. I actually remember the first photo that introduced me to the idea of sleeping in a van. It was a photo that quite literally changed my life. One of my friends had just bought a clapped out Chevy Astro van and threw a sketchy bed platform.
Your friend might be a serial killer. Just kind of putting that out there. Your friend might legitimately be a serial killer. Am I the only one seeing that? Like, that's a serial killer.
Form in the back. I remember he planned on driving it down to Mexico and living on the beach for a few weeks. Now, I've got a dirtbag skateboarder that lives rent-free in my soul, and I remember this idea seemed pretty good to him. But before I could even buy my first van, something significant had changed in the whole culture of the van life movement. What used to be a sort of all-access pass to incredible adventures on a budget slowly morphed into how indistinguishable can a van be from a Ritz-Carlton hotel room. The overall tone of van life used to be, look how good life can be even if you don't have a lot.
That's not a van. That's a camper. That's an RV. I mean, this is probably just him using stock footage, but I'm gonna nitpick a lot because that's not a van.
Unfortunately, as the trend gained popularity, that tone became more like, look how nice my recreational thing is. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a nice van. I still really want a Sprinter someday, for sure. But the question is, if vans are getting nicer and fancier and cooler, why does it seem so much less magic all of a sudden? The answer is pretty obvious if you just YouTube search van life. While you'd hope most of the videos would be about meaningful experiences, predominantly it's just like sink installation tutorials. And that's cool and everything, but I just got another van. I know, I'm sorry, it's getting out of hand. This is the last one, I swear. It's a long story, okay? Shut up. But I'm just not gonna do anything crazy to it. In fact, I have a way better idea. There's no disputing the fact that van life is totally dead. Completely. It's over.
Also, this guy's content, like his like editing and all that stuff, is fucking phenomenal. I just want to put that out there. So don't forget to subscribe to Shaffer Nickel, or at least go watch a couple of videos and give it a like.
We've had our fun, but it's done. And it needs a trend to replace it. So I'm going back to where it all began, to the origins of van life. I'm gonna make this exact setup in my van.
Okay, maybe don't give it a like. He's gonna make the serial killer setup. If you give him a like, he might, pick you up in his van, offering candy, or ice cream, or seeing if you need a ride, and then no one ever sees you again.
And then I'm gonna go out on my own and single-handedly create the next trend that's gonna fully eclipse what van life once was. Let's go! So I just got a box in the mail, and this is a particularly exciting box because it contains everything I need to fulfill my ultimate van life dream of having a sketchy bed platform in the back. It's gonna be just like the picture that started this whole shebang, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited! Wow, the picture of luxury. I have to chop the end off because it hangs off like 1.5 feet. I bet this mattress wishes it was forget foam so that it wouldn't have to relive this pain. I don't know what made me think this was a good
Lucky that laugh was a little serial killer, my man. You're leaning into it too much.
time to do this. It's like 1 degree out. My hands are... I spared no expense on the blanket. I got it on sale. Is that what that means? Well, I've got some disappointing news. My bed platform looks way better than the one that I based it off of. Darn it, I wanted it to look just like the original. I guess this'll have to do. I didn't really make a plan for how I was gonna discover this new trend. My planning pretty much ended at drive to Utah. So,
There's the problem right there. You went to fucking Utah. That's the problem with van life. It takes you to places no one actually truly wants to really fucking go. Let's be real. Utah, fucking Montana, Idaho, fucking Great Plains locations that have like absolutely nothing going on for them. It's fine to go to them for like a week, but because you're in a van, you're stuck there for like 2, 3, 4 weeks trying to find shit to do. When if you just, pre-plan a vacation and the places you want to be and all this other stuff, you can do all this shit in a week and be out of the fucking desolate place that no one likes to see. Or, Utah, where their public school system literally is walking hand in foot with the Church of Mormons. Like, it legit is a serious problem.
I always do when I'm looking for something and I don't know where to start. I try and get a new perspective, which is why I'm taking a page out of my good friend Jake Frew's book, and I'm going to climb up to the highest point I can see and hope some good comes of it. I decided to bring my bike, which is going to be awesome for the way down, and hopefully on the way up I'll be able to just pedal right up there, get to the top, take a look at the vista, make some decisions and get some clarity on my mission and the purpose I'm out here for, and then just shred on down. It's going to be no big deal, and then I can pop on down the highway to Moab. But right off the bat, it kind of turned out to be a big deal after all. This whole thing started out funsies, gamesies.
like just a challenge to start the trip off with. And it's starting to get real. I am exhausted.
I feel like in order to be an outdoors person, right, you have to legit either straight up love it or slightly have some shit wrong with you. Because, and a lot of like van life people are these, traveling outdoors people, they're REI fucking memberships and all this other like crazy shit. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just also like it takes so much unnecessary work to get this view of, I don't know, something that's just meh in the end to me, of course. I'm not a fucking outdoorsy person. Like I would fucking hate to have to spend one night camping. Okay, so I'm a fat lazy son of a bitch. So that's disregard that point on that. It's just my observation. Okay, I just don't understand trekking up a fucking mountain that has nothing at the top except for a view that you could have got at the bottom of the mountain. Basically, I don't know.
The mud is getting chunked up on the tires, which makes the bike like twice as heavy as I'm pushing it up. Like, my wheel won't even spin because there's so much of this clay.
I did my best to keep pushing through, but then something really disappointing happened.
I just came around the corner and saw that the rest of the trail is completely made up of that awful, awful mud. This is totally not like me, but I'm giving up.
And also, like, okay, so he drove out here, and I feel like there's a trail. Also, this video is not really about van life. I don't know. Maybe there's like a long story to it. We're halfway through the video. We'll see. But like, he drove out here, and the trail is muddy. So that's another problem with van life. It's like everywhere you go, you're likely not arriving at the best time per se to be where you suddenly are. So he arrived post, like, I don't know, rain fucking season or some shit. Like, and now this trail that he's on, which I'm be honest, I don't even think he's actually on a trail. I think he's like gone off the trail for the video. I could be wrong, and again, just my opinion. But like, there's just too many unnecessary difficulties that go along with all of this shit.
The top's right there, like, and I'm giving up.
Even though I didn't make it to the top, the place I wound up was beautiful. I kind of wished I could have stayed there all night long. Before heading down, I took an epic selfie, even though, deep down, I didn't feel very epic. Not even when I was laying the gravy down on that buttery spine.
Well, I just got back to the van, and if I look a little disheveled and discouraged, I'd say that's because I am. I didn't get to the top. I don't feel any closer to totally annihilating van life and replacing it with something new. This is just not going how I expected it to so far. But we're only on day 1 of 2, so maybe tomorrow something incredible will happen.
What I didn't know then is that the next day something incredible would happen. I would discover the replacement to van life. But until then, I still had some challenges to face.
The first night in the new bed went really well. I slept like a rock, and there was no moon last night, so it was like crazy amounts of stars. It was incredible.
And that's the other thing, like, okay, you're, like, out in the middle of nowhere, right? Or at some truck stop or what the fuck ever. You're sleeping in this van. At least truckers, like, you could lock the fuck down out of a truck, like, when you're sleeping, okay? You could make it damn near a fucking impenetrable fortress, or at least difficult enough to get into to where by the time someone trying to hurt you or attack you or whatever gets in, you're up. And you're also, like, armed and ready to go. In vans, it's not much you can do. So he's out here in the middle of the fucking dark. No moonlight. Knocked the fuck out. What if a bear comes along and just, like, fucking punches through the fucking window? I just... Then you're fucking dinner for Cocaine Bear. I don't get it. Like, it's... I'm gonna say it, and I don't like to say it, but I'm fucking gonna say it. This some white people shit. This some real white people shit. Black people, we just don't got the guts for this type of shit because we think Like, if the lights ain't on around me, if I'm not in civilization, most black people are just like, nah, I can't do this shit. This is definitely, it takes some white people strength to do this.
But I almost wish I could have just ripped the whole roof off the van and seen it all, because the little window I had was good, but not as good as it could have been.
After waking up, I ran into town to run some errands.
Also, you could just get a chair and get out and sit. And also, it only took you a day to get there. Like, I'm kind of curious where this journey started. That's another thing. A lot of the van life stuff is very fake. It's, like, very full of, like, bullshit. Like, they'll do, like, 1 or 2 actual van life fucking excursions and then realize how, like, super difficult it is. And then they'll just, everything else after that will just be them driving to, like, the nearest, like here in Raleigh, we have Umstead. Somebody like who has a van life might actually drive to the mountains and like go on a van life trip through like the Smokies, like through the not Smokies, fucking Appalachia, and then they'll like be like they'll get home and they'll say this shit's not for me, like I fucking, but I've already spent the money in renovating this van, and I'm creating a content channel based off of van living. I need to find some local federally protected like park areas or whatever and make it seem like I'm continuously going on these van life trips. So they'll go to like Umstead Park instead and just like make content there and act like, oh, we're still van living and all this other shit. Meanwhile, like just 5 miles away from them is straight up civilization. So it's not even like real van life. It's just, I need to see where this guy started from because he said day 1 of 2, and it's just like, okay, so did you drive just barely 1 day to get to this point? Because it seems like you're pretty much probably no more than like a 2 hours drive from civilization. I don't know. That's what I said. Van life is fucking stupid. It doesn't make sense to me.
And it was here that I had a profound realization.
I can't do this alone. Like, I'm starting to get lonely. I feel like I'm not making a lot of progress on my goal. I didn't choose this. This chose me. Okay? I found a little companion, and his name is Danico. And Danico is everything I ever wanted in a road companion. So whatever I do today, whatever adventures I get up to, I'm taking Danico with me.
Also, not to be that person, I've yet to see him shower. The van showered. He is not. I don't know. Just thought I should state it.
I started the day with a nice desert skate sesh and made plans for what Danico and I would tackle next. But the truth is, I didn't really know what to do, and I was starting to lose my enthusiasm.
Okay, I can't help but feel like I'm kind of losing the plot here. I guess I'm gonna go on a hike with Danico. And maybe that will give me some clarity as to what could replace van life. I don't know. This is all very abstract at this point, and I'm just having a really hard time with that.
There you go, brother.
So me and my boy started hiking. He got to hang out with some of his old relatives, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel good to be out there. I just didn't really feel like it was going anywhere. But even so, we kept hiking, and all of a sudden, we came across something magnificent. It truly was a sight to behold.
There's other people there. I don't know if you guys can see. There was another person. I think this is like on a well-used trail, which once again, I'm not sure if that's the case, but this once again proves this is all like a thing that's just kind of, I don't know.
I call bullshit.
In my eyes, because it's like, I'm just like, this is critical thinking at work, okay? So like, going back to my whole thing about this is a lot of van life stuff is fake. Is like, yeah, you set up the van, do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's this project. Once you get done with the project and you do one actual like van life trip and you see how hard it is to just live like that, you kind of like bullshit a lot of your content. Similar to how like the like videos that we would see where the homeless person or the rich person would try to be homeless and like they didn't actually get the homeless experience, right? Because they're getting followed by a camera crew. That camera crew is likely eating somewhere, sleeping somewhere. And, like, you don't get the night view or something like that. They're really out on the street probably for, like, 2 hours at night, and then they go to a fucking hotel. And, like, all this other just, it's suspect shit, right? You use it briefly. You don't actually experience what you, like, are showing. And then that's kind of it. I hope that kind of makes sense.
Nope.
It's just, I don't know. The van life shit seems weird. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, these people in the video, there's likely a, like, civilization nearby. There's likely some, like, hotel spot to allow people to easily get, sure, you gotta hike a little bit, but you're following, like, a pre-laid trail and all this other stuff. You're not actually getting out and experiencing, like, the worth that you claim you are, is what I'm getting at. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I hate fake shit. It's annoying. And that's probably why I hate van life. It's because I could smell the, like, bullshit coming off of it.
A real beautiful sight. And it was as we saw that sight that you don't see every day that I looked down at Danica.
Come on and take me away.
Sitting next to me, and I realized something. Danica didn't need much. He didn't need a sink. He didn't need a bed platform. All he needed is what he could carry with him. And that's when I put all the pieces together. I had discovered the new trend to replace van life. And here's what I came up with.
If he says minimalism, I feel like I'm validated in my annoyance with this culture. It's just basically trying to self-inflict some kind of suffering on yourself for reasons that are guilt or just stupidity, or thinking everything is, like, artsy and culture when it's just, like, some things are just done for a necessity to survive. And I feel like van culture is not, like, van life is not one of those things. Unless you're a homeless, then it's like, okay, yeah, you're doing it to survive. It's just it's a really stupid millennial Gen Z trend.
Forget the bed platform. What about a portable, inflatable bed? That way you could do it anywhere, and you'd never have to worry about a van roof covering your view. And if there's bad weather in the forecast, instead of bringing an entire van, you just bring a portable van.
Now a lot seems like really bullshit.
Is he describing camping?
Interior type thing that also packs down small. I mean real small, like fit in a backpack small. Words to describe this trend include convenient, amazing, magnificent, perfect, immaculate, nice, and great. Not to mention way more accessible. There you have it, the next big thing. I think it's really got a shot of taking off. All I ask is that if you ever try it, just remember, I invented it.
I know it's sarcasm, but I'm sorry. You missed it on this one.
Ugh. Well then.
These comments, I get them. Van life went from how to travel on a budget to rich people hobby real quick. I feel like van life is totally still magical. The more decked out it is, the more sustainable the lifestyle can be. I don't... Did they think before they stated that? Like... I feel like van life isn't about the van itself, but about the journey you're able to take and people you meet along the way. Except for a lot of motherfuckers don't actually, I don't know. Yeah, see, this is someone who's like losing everything made me appreciate the van life. But actually doing it on the road in beautiful places made me really like living again. You were homeless, and then you finally got out of being homeless. And while being homeless sucked, you know, you kind of had like some enjoyment because you had in a way a shelter over your head. I don't know, there's absolutely a huge portion of van culture that has become, look at how nice my recreational toy is. But I would have to say part of it has become housing is too expensive, So I am trying to make a fully functional dream home out of this van. It is a way kind of that, because like that's why all the videos are like how to install sinks, like he said earlier. But also, I don't know. It's just it's a weird, stupid culture, and it's basically how can I do camping without sleeping on the ground? That's all it is, and it's like you can do it with an RV or a camper, just anything built actually for camping, but not a van, because a van isn't built for that. So I kind of want to give van life a little bit more like a look at, and I want to get more obviously viewpoints on it. And also I want to see what some like severe, basically logical and truth speaking people might say about it, like their issues with it and their problems that have actually done it. And I found another video that will be interesting to watch. Okay, I hated that video.
I have been living out of our van for 2.5 years. We had actually bought this thing in 2019 with the dream of driving it down to Mexico in 2020. But hindsight is 2020, and we all know how that year ended up turning out. So with all the border closures and uncertainty, we weren't actually able to live out that dream until winter of this year, 2022-2023. And for the first time in the past 2.5 years, we really got to experience the like hashtag van life that everyone seemed to be talking about. Now that we're back in Canada, we have been talking a lot about bringing this van life journey to a close. And it seems like so many people in the community that we've met over the past couple of years are selling their vans. So the question is,
I think there was like one person that was naked. It's fucking thumbnails. I'm not gonna go back. You can go back and watch if you want. I'm not. I don't understand.
why is everybody quitting van life? Well, I do have some lived experience and insight on the topic, so let's talk about it. It is really not hard to imagine why van life has captured the hearts and imaginations of so many people. Living in a van provides a sense of freedom and simplicity that is hard to achieve in traditional housing. The ability to just pick up and go wherever the wind takes you without the constant constraints of a mortgage or rent payments. It requires us to really think about what we own and really only live with the essentials. And many people...
And I'm not shooting Nick and Rachel down, but I guarantee you they have a home still throughout all of this, whether it be an apartment or something. So they still like, that's what isn't like, I just don't understand. They always present this, oh, you're free living and like you have no place to go back to, your domicile is your van. No one's stupid. Like no one is fucking stupid. Hell, there's some areas where like you have to have like a fucking address to have a fucking license. Your van will not count as a fucking address. Critical thinking is so gone. For this entire trend to blow the fuck up, people have not thought even remotely back to like how what they're saying, the first part of it is always fucking impossible. They're like, oh, I don't have a mortgage, I live in my van, we could pack up and go wherever we want. And like, again, not trying to hate on these two.
And haters gonna hate, naysayers gonna naysay, yeah.
But like, it's a false narrative.
Will shed their material possessions that they realize that they don't really need anymore. All of that can be really freeing for people under consumerism, and it's undoubtedly a refreshing change. And finally, the community of people living in their vans, school buses, on the road is incredibly inspiring and uplifting, and it really does feel like your chosen family. We really go in on meeting each other with a shared passion for exploration, adventure, a connection to nature. And all of these factors combined really do come together to create a dream lifestyle that so many people aspire to achieve. So why are we quitting?
They're quitting because there's no showers.
You smell like dick.
That video clip they just showed, I guarantee you, everyone in that video clip, you either shower, your last shower was at a gym, or you quit because you're realizing you smell awful going 3 days without a shower in a stuffy, hot-ass van. That's what it is. That's why you're quitting.
Personally, I really hate the videos that are like, the truth about van life, or why I quit van life. and it's just like some person complaining because they don't have a functional build or they didn't do enough research on the lifestyle, or honestly it just didn't suit them. And like, I get it, those types of videos get a lot of views, and so as much as the naysayers would love to hear that it's because like we weren't man enough, or we couldn't handle it, or because it's too hard, or whatever they make up, you know, that we're fighting too much, or that it's not sustainable after all, none of that stuff is true for us personally, and I have a few thoughts. Now, before I move on, it's obviously important to acknowledge that people live out of their vans for all sorts of different reasons. There are people living out of their vans out of necessity and for survival reasons. And then there are people with like 4 Sprinter vans and multiple $1-million homes. There are full-time van lifers, snowbirds, part-time van lifers, and basically everything in between. Now, for the sake of this video, we are not going to be talking about people who are living out of their vans out of necessity and purely for survival reasons, not because they are any less part in the community, but it's just an entirely different topic. So it is also important to acknowledge that there are probably lots of people living in their vans who want to quit but do not have the means to do it anytime soon. That is an extremely important conversation, but not the conversation that we're going to be having today. Today we're going to be talking more about the people who built out their vans to travel and to be free. So let's talk about stability, because obviously van life lacks stability, because ideally you're constantly moving around and traveling all the time. And obviously living in a van means you don't have a fixed address where you could receive mail or host family get-togethers or hold down a permanent residence in general.
I'm sorry, I don't fucking believe that. I'm sorry. Like, you're not doing this because you have the funds and you're just selling everything and getting away. I don't believe that. Now, maybe they have shown proof. I haven't watched Nick and Rachel's videos. Maybe they did sell their home. Maybe they don't have an apartment and they just have a fucking POS or PO box for their mail and shit. But most people are quitting because this was nothing but content. That's why most people are fucking quitting. At the end of the day, it was just content. That's it. Because our generation, millennials and Gen Z, we have no real prospects of owning homes without significant stress and strife and struggle to get to that point. More than our parents ever fucking had, regardless of what they claim, okay? And so van life was just like this thing that caught on because it was like, ooh, I could technically own a home. It's just a home on wheels, but it's not a big home. It's not like a home with a foundation and all this other stuff. It was just content. It was something a generation caught on to, and a couple of rich people were able to or semi-rich people, or people who were stuck in the middle class and just wanted to attach themselves to something, bought these $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 Sprinter vans and spent another $30,000 renovating the inside to turn it into a dwelling that they could call home and make content out of, because everyone wants to be a fucking content creator. I want to be a content creator. It's why I'm asking at the beginning of the video for everyone to like and subscribe so I can, fucking quit my goddamn job. So it's bullshit. I feel like it's being extremely dishonest with yourself. I feel like you did have an apartment at the bare minimum that you could return to. You had other things. I'm certain of it. I don't believe the shit of I didn't have an address afterwards. There are very few people who did van life that were actually homeless. And even then, they would tell you when they got a fucking home, thanks to their content blowing up.
This obviously can be difficult to manage relationships, hold down a stable job. It can be hard for people who are dating, and it can just...
This shit blew up in the time of remote work, okay? It's not hard to hold down a stable job. It blew up in the time of remote work. Every truck stop everywhere has fucking Wi-Fi that it offers, or internet. A lot of these stops along highways offer the same fucking thing. Hotspots have been a thing since the fucking Razor came out. I don't believe in the stability part.
It'd be hard for anyone who's living in a van to establish a stable routine. Additionally, obviously, weather conditions, constant change in laws and regulations is a big one, and van breakdowns can obviously disrupt the stability of your day-to-day life. So while van
That's what I do understand. Like, yeah, I mean, but also look at this shit. I mean, it's a certain kind of people that do this, okay? And it's the, like, hipsters searching for themselves. We need to, like, make acid a legal type thing or something again, so they can just do acid and chill out in their fucking mom's basement, because this is extra to search for yourself. It's ridiculous. Either searching for yourself or looking for, like, saying you've gone through some form of oppression. It's kind of weird to me, the whole van life thing.
life offers the freedom of the open road. It also requires a level of adaptability and willingness, I guess, to embrace uncertainty. And I don't think it necessarily has to do with, like, age per se, more so where you're at or, like, what stage you are in your life. And I have to...
That's a camper. It's not a van.
To acknowledge with all this instability talk, for some people all of this sounds like a nightmare, but for some others all of this sounds kind of, dare I say, fun. And Nick and I are some of those people that kind of want constant change. But after some time, certain others want to plant roots and have more of a stable lifestyle as they move into the next chapter of their lives. Whether that means kids, new job, a new project, or whatever that may be. Now, to be quite honest, for the two of us, for Nick and I, stability isn't what we're looking for. And the real reason that we're quitting van life is that we are actually kind of bored. I just want to, like, rewind and say that we've been living in this van for 2.5 years. That is longer than I have lived in any one home in my adult life.
Again, not calling out Nick and Rachel here, but if you understand my point, that comment alone says a lot. Not to obviously, like, put my family on blast or anything, but my parents, we've only, like, tried the whole living together as a family thing once out of a forced necessity. But, like, I've always technically had kind of two homes, my mom's house and my dad's house, that I could, like, go to or whatever. And, like, my parents did their absolute utmost and their best, and I appreciate and I love them for it. But, like, we weren't just, like, moving. My dad's been in the same house my entire life, okay? My mom, literally, we were in one house until I was, like, high school, okay? Then we went to my dad's house briefly. Then we went to an apartment. And now, a couple years after entering the apartment, like 7-ish years or so after doing the apartment, she's in her own home. But, like, she's sitting here saying, like, I've never lived in a house more than 2 years. That's telling me something. If I'm using my critical thinking, right? She's likely from a fairly well-off family, okay? A family that's got a decent pocket of generational wealth. Meaning I don't think there was a whole lot of struggle going on in their decision to do this, because it was just like, oh, Nick and Rachel are just doing a van life thing. Yeah, you know, it's just them going out on the road, youngsters getting their flowers and their feet wet type thing. Van life was a fucking lie. Unless you were fucking homeless or genuinely could not afford an apartment in whatever city you lived in or, like, metropolitan area you lived in, to me, everything in van life was just this bull lie for rich people or semi-rich people to, like, find some excitement with their life and act like there is this fucking oppression about their life. It was bullshit.
Van life can become kind of boring with the repetitive nature of daily routines within a small living space, and chores, or van life chores, such as filling up water, doing laundry at a laundromat, finding a shower, loading up groceries more often because your fridge is so tiny, and other things like this. Like, they do take a lot of time. Limited access to amenities such as showers can get tiring, and the lack of privacy and the constant need for upkeep and constant organization. I mean, it can all just become really tedious.
Also, you're literally describing, like, any small-ass apartment with, like, 6 people living in it in New York because they're poor. It's just that whole fucking culture was like a spit on poor people, and that, I think, at the end of the day, that's what fucking annoyed me the fucking most. Is van life was rich people cosplaying as poor people. That's all this fucking shit was. Because no one would realistically live out of a fucking van. You might take a vacation in a fucking RV or a camper, but you're not actually, like, it's not your fucking primary residence. And van life was just playing as if it was. And making it seem like this whole experience. Yeah, the experience of being poor, motherfucker. Broke.
And don't even get me started on trips to the mechanic. Okay, that's a whole other topic. I could make a whole video just on trips to the mechanic. And what was fun and exciting to learn for us at one point in time, just
one of those was a camper. I'm just gonna point that out every time. Like, whatever.
Simply isn't our dream anymore. And all of that brings me to the main reason why I think that people are quitting van life. Now, before van life, and if you are a subscriber of this channel at this time, then you are a real OG because it feels like it was forever ago now. Nick and I were international travelers. We traveled.
What did I say? Rich people! Yeah, everyone travels, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. But this is the same shit. This is just like the motherfuckers that, like, travel to countries and, like, go to Africa or some shit and, like, spend a month in an area, like, building a fucking school. And then at night, the fucking local residents have to tear down everything the shitty fucking, like, Western kids did and rebuild it properly because they can't. That's who these people were. Rich motherfuckers. And no offense to Nick and Raychel, but that's the reality. And, like, it's cosplaying. It's bullshit pandering.
With nothing but backpacks. And while we did buy our van in 2019 pre-pandemic, we did build it out in 2020. And it honestly became kind of our COVID project. We always say this van is our COVID baby. And for the past 2 winters, we have been surrounded by so many other van lifers that said their timeline was kind of the same. It's undoubtedly true that van life boomed in 2020. For one, people actually had the time to build out a van because people were laid off from their jobs, or they were working from home for the first time ever.
Yeah, but you still gotta have a shit ton of money to do all this shit. Meaning, even if you were laid off from your job, you're either from a well-to-do family, or your job paid you a ridiculous amount of money for no goddamn reason. And as a result, you got a, like, shit ton amount of savings and no real actual struggle. Like, COVID was just a fucking 2-year vacation for you. I kind of wish I didn't watch this one. In the beginning, I was, alright, they're kind of cool. But now I'm just like, you are so dancing around the goddamn bush. It's not even funny.
And then people who were already nomadic, like us, we wanted a home because we...
You weren't nomadic. Gypsies are nomadic, okay? The fucking Huns are nomadic. There are Mongolian people living in Mongolia today that are fucking nomadic. There's still actual fucking goat herders and fucking camel herders in the Middle East that are nomadic. There are tribes in Africa that have entire groups leave for 3, 4, 5 months to go fucking hunt during the, like, hunting season before winter. They're fucking nomadic. You're just in a fucking van. You're not a nomad. You hopping on a plane to fly to fucking Indonesia does not make you a goddamn nomad.
We didn't want to be living in our friend's basement, but we weren't quite ready to get back into the rental market. We didn't know how long it was going to last, and we want to still feel kind of like we were nomadic or traveling. And now times are different. The world is opening up, and for some of us, that means different possibilities are kind of opening up for us too. And now our minds are kind of open to other ways of living now that we've already taken that big risk of living in a van. Here's the thing, obviously taking a risk can be scary because it takes you out of your comfort zone and exposes you to the unknown. But I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me that once you take one risk, or a few risks, it gets easier and easier to take more risks in the future.
No, it doesn't. I can't watch the rest of this video. If you want to give them a like, subscribe, or some shit, whatever, that's cool. I can't, because, like, I can already see the bush dancing she's doing, and she may not be aware of it, okay? A lot of these motherfuckers, they aren't aware. A lot of these people just are fucking zero awareness to anything. But, like, it's so much bullshit. I'm getting a fucking headache from watching it. In essence, I think van life it's LARPing. It's cosplay. It's unless you're homeless or you're just taking the van out for a month, not staying in it for 2 years, like you claim y'all did, it's bullshit.
No, a lot seems like really bullshit.
It's stupidity. It's trying to find a fucking struggle that isn't something to joke about, in my opinion. And that's just, again, my opinion. That's just my take on the whole thing. And I could be wrong. I don't know enough about Nick and Raychel and the previous video, but it just seems all like bullshit. Regardless of skin color. I know I said it's like white people shit, but like regardless of skin color, it just seems like straight up bullshit. Like rich people just LARPing. And I don't understand the want to LARP as someone poor. The want to not have a home, not be near your home is what you're saying. And also not showering for a week. But anyways, that's this video. I'm going to go look at my shower because I have a shower to look at, which is in a bathroom, which is closed away from the rest of living spaces, so I don't have to smell other people's shit if they were to shit in there. Because I don't do van life, and I'm poor. So, yeah, like, subscribe, so I can not do van life out of necessity.